Now that the BambuLab P2S is available in the US, the ultimate question is, which one should you go with? Should you go with the P2S or take advantage of some savings and go with the P1S? I recently had to make that decision myself. If you are a 3D print business, you know this time of the year is extremely busy, and I had to add yet another printer just to help keep up with orders. So you may notice that in the last episode, I just ordered this H2S, and that thing has been amazing, but I needed something not quite as big and at a little bit better price point. And again, I was looking between the P1S because I still have mine. I love this thing. I really have had no issues with it. I'll show you some upgrades that I've done to that in case you do go with that option, or even still have a P1S, some upgrades that you can do to that. But ultimately, I made the decision to go with the P2S. I actually picked mine up from a local micro center. They had about 20 of those in stock. So the next day I went up there in the morning when they opened and picked that guy up. They also had a sale on the AMS Pro 2 unit. So I got that for about $251, which I thought was pretty good. So that way I can do up to 8 colors on that one as well. So the H2S and the P2S are both my BambuLab printers that can do up to 8 colors, which I do sell some products that need that. But it was kind of a tough decision on, do I go with the P1S, which is at a pretty good price point now. If you just want the standalone unit, they're about $399. If you want the combo with the original AMS, it's about $549. And now BambuLab is offering on their website the combo with the updated AMS2 Pro, and I think that's about $619 for the P1S, compared to the P2S with the combo with the updated AMS, it's $799. So there's definitely a price difference there. Obviously, you can save some money and go with the P1S, but you will have to do some upgrades to that, especially the hardened steel extruder and nozzle, just because that doesn't come with it. But really don't have to do any upgrades to the P2S. And that was kind of my main thing there, was as much as the P1S, I've had no issues with it, knock on wood. That thing has been working great for me. I haven't really had any major issues, maybe a clog here or there, and that's about it. But other than that, it's been running flawlessly. But the P2S does have some better features that I thought would be good, and not necessarily future-proof yourself, because in the tech world, you know, these things will be outdated before you know it anyway, but it does have some better features over the P1S that may be something that you'll need or want to consider. So there are quite a few new features in the P2S, which kind of steered me that way on getting that one over the P1S. It does come with the 5-inch touchscreen, which is amazing. It is the same one that is on the H2S. That is a major improvement over the screen that is basically useless on the P1S. I did have the Panda touchscreen, but with the recent firmware updates, that kind of stopped working as intended. So I just took that off and added a status bar. But so having this new touchscreen was definitely a seller for me, along with the lighting. The lighting is way brighter in the P2S, kind of like it is in the H2S as well. And then it's engineering filament ready. It does have air cooling. So there are vents on the bottom to where it'll suck in cold air. So that way you can print with the door closed and not have to have it opened. Even though I've never done that with the P1S, I've kept everything closed and it works just fine. But technically, you're supposed to have the door or a riser on there open, so that way it doesn't get too hot in there for PLA, PETG, stuff like that. But with the P2S, you can keep the door and lid closed without a riser because it does have that airflow. And another big plus for me was just the easy nozzle swap. Kind of like the BambuLab A1, they brought that over, just how easy that is to swap out the nozzle. Not that it's hard on the P1S, it just takes a little more finesse and messing around with stuff. You also get the new servo extruder on the P2S, as well as the dynamic flow calibration. That was available on pretty much most of the other printers, just on the P series, but that is now available on the P2S. You also get some AI features with the P2S that weren't available on the P1S, and that is a startup check. You also get spaghetti detection, nozzle clumping detection, and then the purge chute jam. And you can always go on BambuLab's website and get the full details and differences between both machines. But let me show you kind of a side-by-side between the two just so you can get a look at it, because me, I like to look at things before I buy them. So let me show you kind of the differences that you can see side by side. All right, so here we have the P1S on the right and the P2S on the left. And off the bat, you can tell the color is different. Instead of this kind of dark, almost charcoal black on there, you have this grayish color on the P2S. And then two big features that stick out is obviously the touchscreen and just how much brighter you can see that build plate. I do have the light on in the P1S, and it is much darker. You just have one single light there, but can make it a little bit more difficult to see in there. Whereas the P2S, you pretty much have the whole interior lit up there. So definitely a much improved lighting situation. And again, that touchscreen, I love this thing. All right, so on the P2S, some of the updates that I've done, other than the Panda touchscreen that I've removed, like I said, I do have an updated extruder nozzle in there. And the BQ also makes these brushes for the nozzle versus that little rotating thing that they had on there that seemed to never do the job. Most of the other printers have these brushes, so they have this update to where you can swap that out for those. And then also this backing here to help kind of get that stuff through there. And this has been awesome. I haven't had any issues with this getting clogged or backed up or anything since I installed these. Super easy to install and really inexpensive. So definitely something I recommend. I'll leave a link to some of these down in the description below if you want to check it out. And then another thing I did other than those is the status bar. They have the BQ status bar, similar to what you get on the H2S series. It's going to basically tell you everything. It has a progress bar. So during the print, I have it set to where it's blue and it'll go all the way up to 100%. When it's done, it'll be green. And then when it's starting up and stuff, it turns red. And it's a really cool upgrade, really easy to install. I have a video coming out on that at some point, but that's pretty much all I've done to the P1S. Nothing too crazy, all super easy to do. But with the P2S, really, you don't have to do any of that. It does come with the hardened steel nozzle and extruder, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. Don't have to mess with the lighting. No status bar, but you can probably get that. And then another difference on the P1S is you see it down here. Basically, you get a bunch of debris and stuff that clogs up down here. And then you have this lip that keeps you from being able to just easily get that out of there. I usually just take a vacuum, but the P2S doesn't have that. So you can easily just take whatever's in here, wipe it off. It's got this kind of ramp right here and it just brushes right out of there. So nothing that's going to affect your print quality or anything like that, but just something that makes life a little bit easier when you're doing maintenance and cleaning up these things. The door on the P2S opens about the same way it does on the P1S, not quite all the way. Nothing like the H2S where you can open it the full 180 degrees, which is super nice, especially on a big print bed like that. The setup and unboxing of this was super simple and easy, just like any other BambuLab printer. Since this was the combo, the AMS system did come inside of here. You just have to unscrew it, unscrew the bed, take out some of the packaging, you're good to go. And then I was able to easily set up 2 of these AMS units on here. Now, just in case you are thinking about the H series, here is a side-by-side of the H2S compared to the P2S. Major size difference, so you definitely need a lot more room with the H2S. But if you need that extra build plate and print volume, you definitely have it with the H2S. This thing has been awesome. If it is in your budget, I highly recommend this as well. But you can see it has the same touchscreen as the P2S and is kind of like a lighter gray color on the frame here versus the darker gray on the P2S, but definitely takes up a lot more room, whereas the size of the P2S is pretty much the same size as the P1S. But all 3 of these printers have been great. Haven't had any major issues with any of them yet. The only thing on the H2S, which you can check out on my last video, is I did have an issue with this filament buffer up here, like a lot of people do. The magnet was actually upside down, so I had to take that whole thing apart, which kind of was a pain, especially with what you pay for this printer. But other than that, the only other things, I had a couple nozzle clogs, but with the quick detached nozzle, that was super easy to fix. Before we get back into the video, I would like to say a thank you to our sponsor, flexispot, for saving me from the tragic disaster that was my old desk. That thing shook more than I do when someone says, "We need to talk." They sent me their Comar 55-inch standing desk, and honestly, it made my entire setup look like I pay my bills on time. No wobbling, no drama, no "we need to talk," just a desk doing desk things perfectly. The desk includes a white frame and maple top, or if you prefer the darker side, opt for the black frame. And honestly, this is one of my favorite desks. The 55-inch maple top not only looks great, but provides plenty of workspace. The Comar desk is work from home optimized, built from an industrial grade steel frame and strong electric motor lift that supports up to 100 pounds no problem. So yeah, your monitor, your computer, your speakers, and even a 3D printer, no problem. The height adjustment is smooth. One button glides it from 28.9 inches to 46.5 inches like it's trying to impress somebody. And the motor is so quiet, it won't show up in your Zoom meetings. There are 4 programmable presets so you can save your favorite heights, and there is even a child lock, because flexispot knows deep down that none of us can be trusted with buttons. Seriously. Next to the height presets, you have a USB and USB-C port, so that means your phone, charged. Earbuds, charged. Tablet, charged. Laptop, not charged. Don't ask it to do miracles. And unlike a lot of other standing desks on the market, this one comes with an integrated storage drawer. The drawer is placed conveniently in the front center of the desk with plenty of space. It keeps the top of your desk clean, so your setup looks like you have your life together, even when you don't. Oh, and assembly? No problem. It comes with most of the tools you need. Just add a Phillips screwdriver that you probably inherited from your grandfather, and you are good to go. The instructions are simple yet clear and takes no time to set up. So if you want a desk that looks great, keeps your workspace organized, and won't collapse when you lean on it dramatically during an existential crisis, check out the flexispot Komar standing desk or any of their desks at that. Hit the link below because you deserve nice things. Probably. So thanks again to flexispot. If you've been following my journey with the 3D print business and just learning how to 3D print, you notice that there used to be another BambuLab A1 sitting there where the P2S is now. I still have that. It's actually in my wife's office. She is getting into 3D printing and wants her own printer. So I didn't have any room in here for the A1, so I was able to move it in her office, which is just next door, so she can learn on that. Figured that is a great one for somebody to learn on. And she's already thinking about getting a P series printer as well, so we'll see how that happens. Although we may have to move into the basement because I don't know how many more printers I can run up here. But the P2S does fit better in that corner. That is just an awkward space to fill with printers. And the A1 that was there just was a little tough to load and unload the filament on that AMS light on top there. So the P2S makes it a lot easier to access right there. So definitely a good spot for that one. But since it is the busy season and Etsy has been crazy, this has definitely been the busiest month so far, which is great. All these printers have been running almost 24/7, just trying to keep up with orders. But let me bring you down to my shipping area so you can see how I have that set up. Definitely not a professional setup, just something that I was able to put together really quickly as more orders came in and I wasn't able to do it in here. Okay, so this is where I had to move my shipping station down here into my garage. I had to take over my workbenches and use this as the setup. Try to do this in the room upstairs, but quickly realized that wasn't going to work, especially with as many orders that are coming in. So have kind of like where I pack everything right here. And what I do is I pick stuff that I have in stock upstairs, bring it down here, and just kind of have it laid out. You can see I have a ton of orders I got to actually pack up today. But this is kind of where I have it set up. Got a weighing machine just because it's not always accurate on what I put on Etsy. So especially if people order multiple, got to weigh it. Use the thermal label printer, which is definitely nice over a regular printer. Definitely recommend getting one of those if you do a lot of shipping. And then I just have a bunch of boxes here. I have some more stored up there. And luckily I do have a heater out here for the wintertime. It's gonna make it a little bit more comfortable out here. And then I just use a lot of leftover packaging. So I get a lot of orders for my business and stuff like that. So I get tons of this type of packaging and even this bubble stuff. I do have some extra bubble wrap that I purchased. I try and reuse as much of this as I can to save on costs, and why not? Because it's free and it's still good. So instead of tossing this in the trash or the recycle bin, I just reuse it for wrapping up orders. And I just make sure I have enough boxes and kind of the sizes I need in stock. And one thing that I did is because I'm getting a lot more orders, I went with a different type of box and not sure how I feel about it. Usually I just buy some boxes like these and these over here off of Amazon, and they've worked. Usually they come in about packs of 30 though. And so I go through this pretty quickly. And so I found Boxery, which a lot of these are, and not sure I like the quality of these. I'll kind of show you. So these boxes, they're kind of flimsy and soft, and they just, I don't know, there's definitely a quality difference over, say, this same one from Amazon. Obviously it's a thinner box, but I feel like it's a lot more sturdy and has a lot more strength and support than this one. This one just feels like almost like it got wet and dried or something. It's just not as sturdy. So when I put packaging and stuff in here, I don't know, it just doesn't seem as solid as the ones from Amazon, although the price is much better on those. So I guess you get what you pay for at that point. So tried looking around at different places. Where they really get you at on this stuff is the shipping. The Boxery is kind of the cheapest that I found. Uline was another one. I get a bunch of their catalogs, but their shipping is outrageous. So the Boxery was a little more reasonable on their shipping, so I thought I'd try those. So I don't know if I'm gonna order again from them. I don't know if maybe I just got a bad batch or it sat outside too long, but they came packaged like crazy and kind of like, see there's like a bunch of nicks and stuff in a lot of the boxes, which whatever, it's a box, but still I want my packaging to look somewhat professional, and that's where these Amazon boxes look way better, and I feel like they held up better too. So yeah, so hopefully here in a little while, I will have all these put in boxes and in these containers. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run out of room in those, but not a big deal. So let's get started. If you watch any of my other videos, it's been a little while, but I do have some lasers that I need to do some videos on. You can see I haven't even opened these, and this one I did open is just collecting dust. A little more involved in actually using this. This one actually wasn't working right, so I gotta figure that out. But these have just been sitting here. I have not had time, which is not a bad thing, I guess, but definitely something that I need to get going. I just got to figure out where I'm going to use these because they do have to exhaust outside. I found out the hard way, which I'll go over in that video, but just a lot of stuff with the laser engraving. I know you guys are more interested in 3D printing, but if you run an Etsy shop, definitely a way to add more customizable things. So whenever I get some time, maybe after the holiday rush, be doing some stuff with those laser engravers. All right, so got a good chunk of the orders boxed up and ready to go. I'm going to take these to the post office. We have about 10 more, but I'm waiting on prints to finish with those. So whenever those are done, I'll get those loaded up and probably shipped out on Monday. Now that we're back up here in the print room, to answer that question, should you buy the P1S or P2S? Really, it's up to you. It depends on your needs and situation and budget. If you have the extra money and want the upgrades that the P2S offers, definitely buy that. I would highly recommend that. If you don't quite have the budget for the P2S, the P1S is going to be just fine, especially if you go with the $549 combo edition. That thing works great. However, the AMS2 Pro unit is a little bit easier to work with, especially if a tube breaks in there. It's a lot easier to access. So if you spend a little bit more money up to that, I think it's $619 for the AMS Pro 2 combo unit on the P1S. That will definitely help alleviate some headaches in case any of those break for you. However, I would recommend upgrading your nozzle and extruder on the P1S if you're gonna run any sort of abrasive filaments, just because it doesn't come with that hardened steel out of the box. Now, as far as print quality between the P1S and P2S, there might be a slight difference between the two. It might be slightly better with the P2S, but definitely nothing that you're going to majorly notice. So the P1S still does a great job with the prints. Comparing that to some of the stuff that I sell, I've been printing on all three machines now, pretty much come out in the same quality. So if you do want to save some money, get the P1S. It has been a great printer for me. But if you have a little bit of extra room in your budget, especially if you're running a business that can pay for itself in no time, I would highly recommend getting the P2S just because that thing has a lot more features and is a lot easier to work with. Having that screen and the upgraded lighting, plus the AI features that it comes with, is a big plus as well. And who knows? Yeah, that was the Anycubic Cobra beeping at me. It keeps sensing a tangle even though there's not a tangle, and that's why this print that should have been about 24 hours has taken almost 48 because it keeps stopping. And yeah, I would just get the P1S or P2S over the Anycubic Cobra for sure. Or if you don't need an enclosed printer or the Core XY, the A1 series are on a great sale as well. I remember when I bought my first BambuLab A1, it was $589 is what it was, and it was on sale at the time, where now you can get the full combo for $379 or something like that. So, but if you're looking for your first printer, the A1 series is definitely a great starter printer. I would highly recommend that as well. And before I end up getting that comment, no, I do not work for BambuLab. Sometimes you guys think I work for BambuLab just because I like their printers. That is not the case. I've bought all these printers with my own money. I spent thousands of dollars through their online store and everything and have not received anything free from BambuLab. Pretty sure they don't even know I exist. Anything that is BambuLab related in here that I use for my business or even personal use, I have bought with my own money and have honestly given you my honest opinion on them. They're just great printers. I know there's a lot of controversy around them. People like them, people hate them. I'm one of those people that like them and really like using them for the business just because it makes it easy. And for running a business, having the same brand printer just makes it so much easier. So that way you're not switching between software and stuff like that. You can just run everything through one slicing program and just everything works. And that way when you buy spare parts, because these things are gonna break and need maintenance, they pretty much have almost every part that you need for a printer to repair, which is nice. And I definitely recommend having some of that stuff on hand, especially extra nozzles and some of the things that are gonna break. But I'll post some links down below for some of the upgrades I've done with the P1S if you guys end up going with that, or if you have one and are looking for some upgrades, check those out down below. If you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button so you can follow me on my experience 3D printing. And I will definitely keep you updated on my experience with the P2S as we get it going. And same thing with the H2S, because that is relatively new as well. So I will give you my experience with both of those as I get more hours on them. But I'm gonna go ahead and get some more prints loaded up on these, keep up with orders. So we will catch you guys in the next video.